Welcome. It is my pleasure to be here today with Hilary Saunders, who is Chief Broker Officer at Side and a woman I have known and admired in the industry for a number of years. Hilary, welcome. So excited to be talking to you today.
Me too. Thank you. I'm
Um,
looking forward to it.
I thought maybe we could start off with you talking about your story in the industry. You have a really interesting story and you've made some bold choices. So I think that's a great foundation for the discussion we're going to have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Clelia. So I actually started out in real estate litigation. My passion for real estate began in law school. I had an amazing real estate law professor who really encouraged us to understand the ins and outs of real estate, not just the ownership, the property rights, but also how it really impacted individual people. And so I got very interested at that point, and I went the litigation route, spent a handful of years in that area in San Francisco. I got extremely tired of fighting and figured that I was more of a person to put transactions and parties together and solve problems. So I shifted, went to Coldwell Banker as a broker associate, and began my real estate selling career at that point. Loved it, loved the clientele, loved putting complex deals together. The only thing that I was missing was the support from the brokerage in a way to really grow my business. I wanted to take it to the next step. I wanted to really expand, and they weren't providing it. And I was having to reinvent, having a marketing team and building websites that I had no idea how to do, and do the accounting part, which spending hours on QuickBooks is not my jam. So I decided to deviate, and I opened my own shop in San Francisco, my own brokerage, and I opened the law firm at the same time to kind of go hand in hand. I worked with estate planning clients on the legal side and then real estate transaction clients on the real estate side, and loved the combination of the two, and was, I got to a point where I finally was doing really, really well and comfortable, and, serendipitously met my co-founders, Ed and Guy, at that point, who were trying to do research into how to disrupt the real estate industry. And the three of us clicked right away. And I jumped at the opportunity to really create a platform, which is Side, and bring what we were going to bring to the industry in a way that allows entrepreneurs, top producing agents, to really build their business and take it to the next level. So we provide all the back end stuff that really agents shouldn't have to do: their legal compliance, their marketing, their growth, and gives them the opportunity to build and grow and take their dream to where they want to take it. And at the end of the day, have an asset, which I didn't see anyone in the industry doing. So I love that I'm in a position that I'm in. And as a woman, I'm super honored and excited to be able to bring that opportunity to our partners and encourage and inspire others in the industry. So I'm passionate every day. I wake up excited to go to work and go to bed excited about what the next day has in store. So real estate is a big part of my life.
Well, I love this story, and I love that you've been an entrepreneur sort of several times over. One thing you and I have talked about a little bit is that it, real estate has historically been, at least at the agent and team leader level, a business that was outweighed women compared, and that's unusual, particularly because women have been able to earn real money as real estate agents. I shared with you that I grew up with a brokerage where, the top producers at our brokerage have always been women. And, many of them have earned seven-figure salaries, or, not salaries, they've earned seven figures for themselves and their businesses, while also having some flexibilities in their lives. And I actually think that real estate has been under discussed as a field where there have been these pioneering women leaders who've been really, really successful, particularly at the agent level. Why do you think that is? I mean, why do you think we haven't acknowledged this as much as a field full of really badass women?
I think it has to do with it being an old industry. I mean, it's similar to the legal industry in that there are amazing attorneys, partners, judges who are women who have just kicked the socks off careers. And when you think of traditional lawyer, you think of a white man in a suit. So I think it has to do with the historical value of it. And it was traditionally run by white men, but it carved out the opportunity for individual agents to be very successful because they had control of their schedule. They could, take kids to school, go do 3 deals, pick them up in the afternoon and make dinner. But the one piece that has been slowly changing is the women in leadership roles. So that hasn't been historically there. And I see a change coming, but it is slow just because it is a historically, male-driven, top-down industry. So I'm encouraged.
It's interesting because we talked a little bit before this, and we were talking about how many of the attributes that people perceive as leadership attributes are rewarded in men, but sometimes dismissed or even viewed negatively in women.
Yeah. You see it. What's interesting is you see it if a man comes to, they're in a conference, right? Or a conference room, and they're having a discussion about where they're going to take the business next. And you've got a handful of really strong people who are contradicting each other and saying, hey, you know what? I don't agree with your idea. Here's why. That is usually seen as a pro for men. And then when women do it, it's usually seen as they're being catty or they're the B word. And they should just, stay in their lane, so to speak. But with the younger companies, tech companies, startups, things of that nature, of what that side is, we reward that because you're bringing ideas that may not have been thought of, and that you're bringing something that is valuable, and you're seen as a team player. So that's shifting. I don't know for other sectors, but I do see it at least here in Silicon Valley, where the young companies, there are a lot of women at the leadership roles.
Yeah, an interesting thing that I observed with real estate is that many of the qualities that make women excellent real estate agents. So yes, I think women, great agents are often very relational, but great agents are also often very assertive, and clients like to feel like their agents are fighting for them.
Yeah.
And people admire those qualities when you are the agent, but maybe those same qualities create some challenges in terms of moving up the more typical corporate ladder.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dichotomy.
I was thinking of this last night when I was thinking about where our conversation was going to go, and it's unique it's a unique thing that women have inherent in them. And majority of women are mothers, and not saying anything negative of those who are not. I'm just saying that there's a skill set that you get when you come into a room and your toddler is taking your Sharpie to your couch or to your wall, and your dog just came in from the rain and there's mud all over the floor. And you just take a breath and you're like, you know what, this too shall pass. And you conquer that day, that moment. It's the same thing when you're in a heated negotiation for your client and the agent coming at you is just, fire and brimstone. Women have a way of diffusing the situation and getting to brass tacks and looking at the actual issue and not all this other, crazy that's going on around them in the world. They kind of focus really sharply, and they have a way of doing that, which you can translate that to leadership roles if that's where you want to go. So most agents have that.
Yeah. I personally think this topic is really fascinating, of what women bring to leadership that looks a little different from what we assume leadership looks like, because the leadership that we've seen for the past 2,500 years is white men.
Yeah.
And that I think part of what's really interesting that's happening right now is not just women becoming leaders in a way that looks like the way that men have been leaders, but actually women becoming leaders in a way that looks more authentic to them. And I think that's so valuable and necessary.
Absolutely. And even in a corporate structure, you've got, there's a compassion element and an empathy element that women bring that just provides a whole different viewpoint. Madeleine Albright was being interviewed by Fareed Zakaria on GPS a couple months ago on COVID, and she had a good comment that the countries that are doing better are majority women leaders. And that question then rises in your head, what is it? What is that added element that they bring, or the piece that maybe isn't, talked about, that we're not thinking about? And I don't know the answer, but I do think it has something to do with our just inherent nature to not just fix problems, but bring people together and have some kind of harmony in a way that elevates everyone at the same time.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I have heard people say that, in a like masculine paradigm, power is a pyramid, and in a more feminine paradigm, power is a circle. And I think that in a period where we, whether we're facing some sort of global pandemic or crisis, or just in a period where we live in an increasingly global and networked world, it's really interesting to think about like collaboration, bringing people along, the ability to like get everyone on the same page as being almost a more necessary skill set than like getting everyone to follow your orders because you're able to be strong enough to like dominate them into doing what you're telling them what to do or what you're telling them to do.
Absolutely. And you know what, this is the beauty of the creation of Side, is that we have all of these amazing partners who we are providing the back engine for, and they are creating what they want at the end of the day, what they want their business to look like. And I can tell you of the 100+ partner teams that we have, everyone is different, and we encourage that and we support that. And there's no one cookie cutter way. And so I think women bringing that to a leadership role realize that what works at this company may not work at this company. And that is something that I think we're just more open to, maybe, that not maybe traditional, dominated boardrooms aren't. If it didn't work this way last year, then it's not going to work this way this year. I think we're just, I don't want to say more creative, but maybe more flexible, just because we have to be in our daily lives. It's interesting.
Do you see differences with the Side partners who are male and female? I mean, Side essentially empowers people to become entrepreneurs, to run their own businesses. Do you see women grappling more with that, or needing to more encouragement or permission to kind of take that on? Or do you see like similar levels of adoption?
Honestly, I think the women are almost a little more not aggressive, but they're very gung-ho and ready to just take it on and do what they want to do. And their success is just amazing. I love watching it. It gets me super excited. There's not really much coaching that comes from me or from anyone else on the team that is, directed towards women, saying, hey, you can do it, supporting you. They come into it saying, hey, I want to do this. Help me do this. How do I get there? And that's all we do, is we provide the support, and they just blossom. I love it.
Yeah. Another really admirable and interesting thing about you, Hilary, is you have several small children, including, are they 3 months old now, your twins?
Yeah, 3-month-old girl twins.
Yeah. So how do you, and you have an older, I believe, son, right?
Yeah, I have a 6-year-old son. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an amazing brother.
How have you navigated balancing being a mother and also being someone who's clearly really ambitious and focused on like success in your career?
It started with Braden, my son. He came with me to listing appointments. He came with me to showings. I love what I do. So to me, family life and my work are together. I don't separate them. I don't see them any different. And I have an amazing support system with my husband. And the girls are that way too. I want them to be strong, independent women who can go after their dreams no matter what they are. And I was supported that way growing up, and that I find extreme value in that. So to me, there's not really hey, work shuts off at X. Everyone around me knows work is my life too, is my passion. Inside is another one of my children. I want it to flourish. I want it to succeed. So sometimes I take client calls, agent calls while I'm bathing my kids, and I just let them know, hey, there's going to be screaming kids in the background. That's just the way it is. But that just makes it more real, I think, instead of just a picture of a person.
Yeah, it's been an interesting thing, I think, about COVID also, that a lot of those boundaries have been breaking down, I think, for a lot of people. And I think it's a really positive thing that we don't feel like we have to pretend that we are just one thing, that we're just, that our professional lives exist in isolation from our fuller identity, particularly for those of us who are, dealing with young kids and integrating life work with parenting younger children.
100%. I for as much as the pandemic has put awful things into play, it has, I think, brought families together, and understanding and compassion has grown. And a lot of calls that I'm on, kids pop into the background of the Zoom call, or you can hear them screaming or, yelling about their homework. It's just, it's a little more humbling, I think.
Yeah. Well, Hilary, it's such a pleasure to talk to you, and to talk to you particularly about this topic that I think we are both very passionate about. I'm really looking forward to continuing the conversation going forward, and I want to thank you for sitting down with me today.
Absolutely. My pleasure, Clelia. Always a wonderful time talking to you.